So let's move on to our next speaker. She's none other than Ms. Aparna Tandon, the Senior Program Leader of International Center for the Study of the Preservation and Restoration of Cultural Property, or ICCROM. Ms. Aparna specializes in crisis response and disaster risk reduction for all forms of heritage. She has 25 years of post-qualification work experience in heritage conservation and has conducted professional training for the conservation of heritage in Asia, the Middle East, Europe, Africa, and South America. So as Senior Program Leader at ICCROM, she leads the design and implementation of its international flagship program on first aid and resilience for cultural heritage in times of crisis. Additionally, she coordinates the activities of sustaining digital heritage and SOIMA, or sound and image collections conservation programs, aimed at safeguarding endangered audiovisual and digital heritage. So she has led emergency responses, post-event damage and risk assessments, and in crisis training in Lebanon, so just recently, last year, Croatia, also last year, in India, 2018 and 2020, Northern Iraq in 2017, and Myanmar in 2016. So also in Nepal and Philippines in 2013, in Haiti in 2010. So additionally, she has held workshops for protecting heritage in conflict-afflicted countries, including Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Egypt, and Iraq. So Ms. Aparna has trained military personnel, civil protection teams, and humanitarians for providing first aid to cultural heritage during emergencies. So she also authored several papers and publications. Her recent handbooks on first aid to cultural heritage in times of crisis and endangered heritage, emergency evacuation of heritage collections have been translated multiple languages, including Arabic, French, Spanish, Japanese, and Russian. Also, Lebanon, Iraq, Egypt, Yemen, Sudan, and South Sudan. So, Ms. Aparna, good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you so much. I am honored to be here, and it's a pleasure to be invited to this conference, an August gathering of all the experts from Philippines and beyond. I'm going to focus on, actually, I do not know what was written in the agenda so much, but I thought to this kind of audience, I should just focus on the very question, why safeguard cultural heritage in a crisis, and what's the role of ICCROM in doing this? And first of all, for those who do not know what is ICCROM, ICCROM is an intergovernmental organization. It is based and headquartered in Rome, and it has a regional center in Sharjah. And it was founded by UNESCO, and it's affiliated to UNESCO. It's an advisory body of UNESCO that specializes in conservation of cultural heritage, its safeguard. And lately, we have increased our remit to also find, remit to include natural heritage. And many of our programs, one of our, in fact, leadership program focuses, flagship program focuses on linkages between nature and culture. And the program that I will be introducing through this presentation is called First Aid and Resilience for Cultural Heritage in Times of Crisis. So why a program on disasters? And this is a photograph from Philippines. I hope some of you might recognize it. It's from the 2013 Bohol earthquake, which came, and close to its heels came the typhoon in 2013. And I had the chance to lead a UNESCO assessment, damage and risk assessment after the two events. the twin emergencies. So why safeguard heritage in disasters? Maybe the answer is written in this photograph. And if we just look at the numbers, then just in year 2020, it was not only marked by COVID, there were 389 reported disasters and 98.4 million people were affected and billions were lost, including cultural heritage. So, and this is what happens to cultural heritage. This is just an example, but also if you look at 2016-17 earthquakes in Italy, more than 5,000 heritage buildings were affected. So years of human achievement can be wiped in disasters that are all around us, and we do not recognize the signs. This program, therefore, focuses on world concerns for cultural heritage, and it aims to protect cultural heritage in situations of conflicts, disasters, and complex emergencies, which, as I'm speaking with you right after this meeting, I will be holding a meeting with European professionals on dealing with floods. And with climate change, we're likely to see more of such disasters and complex emergencies. Now, how can we protect cultural heritage from climate change-induced disasters and conflicts, especially amidst humanitarian disasters? This is the focus of this program, and our actions are divided in before, during, and after the disaster. So some of the training that we give or information that we share is based on prevention. Some of it is focused on how to create better response capacities or preparedness capacities. We are also very much invested in early recovery. How can we bounce back and building resilience? And hence the name of the program, First Aid and Resilience. The overall aim is to safeguard heritage and promote sustainable development and bring the benefit of heritage to those communities that are living in risk-prone regions. In the first year, this program is very recent. It is built on 10 years of training, but in its first year, it reached 32 countries, including, as you can see, we've had participants from Philippines, and many of them are in Southeast Asia. We have trained 524 professionals, 253 were also from Europe and North America, which are also increasingly facing the brunt of climate change. And we created 70 new partnerships. And I will explain to you what these partnerships were all about a little later in my presentation. But all this has been possible because we had done training in 2000. We began training in 2010, and we have organized 8 international courses. Of these courses, a worldwide network today exists in 86 countries of 800 plus cultural first aiders. How did this happen? We trained change agents, and one of them is amongst you, Marian, who is, I think, her organization and Marian are the pivotal force for this webinar also. Like her, there are many cultural first aiders who have taken part in our training, and then they receive seed grants to further disseminate the message and prepare local communities. As a result, we have now a robust network, and this network is now feeding this program, this global program of first aid and resilience for cultural heritage in times of crisis. One of our big focus right now is on understanding what is the relationship between community held knowledge, heritage, and climate resilience. For example, we have organized field projects. Like in 2019, we went to small hamlet, I would say, as a region which borders Russian Federation in Georgia. This is a region, it's called Racha, and it is prone to landslides, earthquakes, mud flows, and frequent flooding. Also, it faces the risk of conflict because it borders Russian Federation and there is tension between the two countries. When we, and our idea was to understand with a creative mapping exercise, what is the knowledge of people, what kind of knowledge people hold in coping with known hazards. And what we found was amazing. Here in this place, when we got government, local government, disaster risk reduction specialists, response forces, civil protection, and also, local community like lawyers, doctors, farmers, also artists together, what came out was that there was a blanket policy ban on wood cutting. And this is an area known for its wine production. And it also gives identity to Georgian wines because this is the heart of winemaking in Georgia. But because of blanket ban on wood cutting, and that was a selective policy for avoiding landslides, people anymore cannot anymore, cut wood. And because of that, they cannot sustainably, support their wine growing business, because to grow grapes, you do need some wood to, support the plant. And as a result, all the raw material needed comes from outside, which makes wine growing and wine making really, an expensive undertaking. As a result of this, people are no more building with wood, and younger population has fled to urban areas where they are looking for work, and there are no young people left. So if there is a flood now, only older people are there, and older population is not so able to respond or help each other or even to evacuate themselves. Similarly, they are not building with wood anymore. So if there is an earthquake, they are more vulnerable. And so there is loss of livelihood because of one decision: total ban on wood cutting, no more wine growing, no more wood crafts, no more clay crafts, lack of livelihoods, and migration of younger population, and increased vulnerability to disaster. All this was done through creative mapping and talking to people in a very relaxed, semi-structured way, where facilitators in Georgian asked them some questions in the language of I would say disaster risk reduction specialists. This is called vulnerability and capacity assessment, but we added the aspect of culture in it. And the end result is a game, a participatory game. You can also call it a participatory visualizing activity, which is called Insight. And it is now available in English, French, Georgian, Spanish, Arabic. And soon we hope to launch it at a bigger scale with UNDRR and local governments, so that they can go back into their communities and understand how heritage is intertwined with the issue of climate change and disaster risk reduction. Similarly, another area of work that we do is we train civil protection teams, because when disaster strikes, the first effort is to save lives, and that's how it should be. But after the initial search and rescue phase, there is clearance of debris, and it is during that time maximum damage to cultural heritage occurs. By having some coordination with the civil protection or civil defense, or the first people who get onto the ground, we can get aerial shots, situation updates, photographs, and important evidence of where heritage is affected. And then also, sometimes with their help, get in hazardous situations and try to evacuate heritage or stabilize it in place. And this work is taking the shape of a European Union-wide project called Pro Cult Here, in which countries such as Spain, Italy, France, and Turkey are involved, and the benefit will reach to 31 countries of the European Union. Similarly, we also are working on guidelines for search and rescue professionals. We are not asking them to leave the search and rescue of people and start the search and rescue of heritage. But what we are asking them is to share data, to share information, and if they see heritage, leave some sign on it that this is cultural heritage. And these guidelines are now being reviewed by UN OCHA, the United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, and the International Group for Search and Rescue teams. And we are part of that also together with UNESCO. We also advise senior officials of UN as well as European Union, also from other countries, on how to assess damage and needs for heritage in a region-wide or large-scale disaster that you have seen in Philippines, in Nepal, in Haiti, in many places, and even now in Europe. And this takes the shape of rapid needs assessment simulations that are normally organized by European Union, because European Union is also active not only in Europe but also beyond Europe in providing aid. We also do training, and training takes shape of both blended forms like in person and also at distance. One of this blended kind of a long-term training is this Alliance for Cultural First Aid, Peace, Resilience, and Resilience for Cultural Heritage in Times of Crisis, in collaboration with ALIF Foundation. This is for MENAP region, Middle East, North Africa, and Pakistan, Afghanistan and Pakistan region, which is afflicted by conflicts. But once a country is afflicted by conflicts, it is more vulnerable to disasters. So this program is aiming to train professionals to deal with twin challenges of disasters and conflicts, as well as pandemic, as COVID is going on, and trying to find very local solutions. So after the training, participants will be given seed grants to organize field projects and safeguard endangered heritage, and try to understand how they can work with their local disaster risk reduction, climate change, as well as emergency responders, like multiple agencies coming together to work to safeguard heritage, and how then heritage can be leveraged to build peace in places such as this. Very important initiative that we place great, we attach importance to is rethinking disaster risk management for heritage collections in Asia Pacific and beyond. This is the course that Marianne from UPLB has taken and also has attended, and is part of this course. This webinar is part of this course, and it's a follow-up of how our participants, our trainees who are brilliant change agents, are trying to pass on the message and carry on the baton, because this is really a relay. So today we train, and then our trainees then train others. And this is how the chain has to develop and permeate our communities at a very local level. So our effort all the time is to think globally, but to act locally. In order to do that, We are trying to break language barriers and provide information where it is most needed by providing multilingual guidance, videos, apps, toolkits, self-help videos. So we also have videos like, for example, how to deal, with COVID, or how to manage, how to generate livelihoods, how all that. So I encourage you to, in fact, visit our website or write to us, the program team, and use this guidance. And if you want to introduce some of this guidance in your local language, we are open to that also. So risk forms, anything that you want to share with your community, we are available and will be happy to help you through our growing network. As I said before, we also offer assistance to countries in times of crisis. And this is just an example of where all we have been active. And right now we are helping colleagues in Belgium, Germany to meet with this great flood emergency and the disaster, the extensive damage caused to heritage in these countries. So I'll just, this is the photographs from what we did in Croatia, where museums were affected in Zagreb city. And at the moment, we are also providing assistance to Croatia, technical assistance for retrofitting their historic buildings and building back better, and to avoid such damage from earthquake. If should an earthquake strike them again, their heritage should be recovered in such a way that it is not vulnerable to earthquakes again. We are also thinking now of training on demand. If you are going to, ask us, do a training in Philippines, a national level training, multi-actor training. So we are thinking of making that happen more frequently. And we are also looking for partnership for an annual hands-on course on securing heritage at the interface of conflicts and disasters. So this is an open invitation to partners. And our other upcoming projects are on, heritage for climate change, induced disasters and conflicts. So we will keep on building knowledge in this area, either through training or information exchange. We are going to continue working on interagency coordination. And if one message that you take from my presentation today, that the message that I want to pass through my presentation is that cultural heritage is not one sector's problem. Cultural heritage gives a lot of resilience to people, and all sectors should be involved in its safeguard. And we do need to, go outside our sector and learn from the experience of mainstream agencies on how they are managing the disaster risk, and also bring that knowledge and expertise within our own day-to-day functioning of our museums, archives, libraries. And this will benefit us a lot and will help us to prepare for the unthinkable. We are also going to invest a lot in youth networks for peace and resilience, because we believe that volunteers have a great role, and especially the young today are networked. They can use technology tools to connect very quickly. And as we have seen in times of COVID, many youth networks have emerged to help communities. So I think we should exploit the strengths that we have. And just to conclude, I want to say, culture is an important resource. It is a source of livelihoods. It brings us social cohesion, it brings peace, and it brings us meaning in our life. That's why culture cannot wait. Treasure it and enjoy it. Thank you so much.